Once again, I welcome you all to this very special 146th session of Leadership Talks. As you know that these sessions are being organized by India International Education Council and Schoology Solutions. India International Education Council is a not-for-profit organization which is working in the field of education. It has collaborators from 12 countries. It aims to create a better world for education. It is building quality centers for elementary education approachable for all kids, finding best education practices across the globe and find ways to implement those in Indian institutions. It is also trying to create more awareness on hygiene and learning disabilities. It publishes a magazine called World Education Review and many other educational reports. It aims to build 100 chapters in different cities by 2022. It will soon open its membership for institutions and individuals. It also imparts training for leaders, teachers, students, and parents. As you know that so far we have conducted 145 sessions. We have received 17,878 registrations, 16,629 questions on national education policy. We have seen participation from 7 countries: India, USA, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Nepal, Kuwait, and Russia. From India, we have seen participation from 22 states and 122 cities. We aim to organize minimum 200 sessions. With this, we would be reaching out to 100,000 educators, 20,000 institutions, and 1,000 plus eminent speakers like today's speakers would be joining us to share their perspective towards the national education policy. So with this, I would request you all please join me in welcoming our key speakers for this very special session. Our first speaker, a very senior education leader, Sanjay Yadav ji. Sanjay sir is principal with Elcon International School, Mayur Vihar, Delhi. He's a postgraduate in physics, electronics. Yadav sir holds a PG diploma in space sciences and their applications, a course with high specialization conducted by Space Application Center under the Indian Space Research Organization and Physical Research Laboratory, Ahmedabad. He has successfully completed a leading change, a CSML course from Harvard School of Education. With 29 years of experience in institutions of international repute, he has been actively involved in the development of subject matter with NCERT, implementing, mentoring, and monitoring of CBSE procedures and training programs. He is a resource person of CBSE and conducts regular training sessions for principals and educators on various other platforms. Mr. Yadav's guidance and recommendations have been crucial in proud placements of his students in renowned institutions like Harvard, Massachusetts Institute of Training, Technology, California Institute of Technology, University of Pennsylvania, and other Ivy League colleges in US as well as UK, Canada, Australia. Sanjay sir has written various articles on different prestigious educational platforms on educational different aspects, like series of articles by popularizing science as well as parenting tips. We welcome you, Sanjay sir. Thank you for joining. It's an honor to have you. Our next key speaker, Dr. Ram Mohanji, who is the director and principal with Sudeep Global Academy and Manipuri, UP. Unfortunately, he won't be participate today due to that high fever he got in the morning. So he would be joining us during later sessions. Our next key speaker, Nitin A. Williams, sir. Nitin ji is principal with Bluebells Public School, Jhansi, Uttar Pradesh. He's a senior education leader with decades of experience in education. He has been awarded and recognized for his valuable contribution to the field of education. Nitin ji would be joining us in next moments. Our next speaker, Colonel K. S. Natesh ji, Natesh sir is director with Netaji Public School, Hassan, Karnataka. He's a senior education leader with decades of experience in education. He has been awarded and recognized for his valuable contribution to the field of education many times. We welcome you, Nitesh sir. Thank you for joining. It's an honor to have you. Our next speaker, Dr. DP Purohit ji. Purohit sir is principal with Spring Hills School, Dehradun, Uttarakhand. He's a senior education leader with decades of experience in education. He has been awarded and recognized for his valuable contribution to the field of education. And last key speaker for this very special session, Mr. Sunil Dagi. Sunil ji is an IIT graduate. He's having master's degree in mathematics and scientific computing. He's an actuary and also the member with Institute of Actuary, United Kingdom. He has worked with ICICI Prudential, HSBC, and Financial Risk Advisor at Ernst & Young, India and UK. He's an entrepreneur for the last 6 years in telecom, food, and education sector. He, along with his team, have been doing research and career counseling for last couple of years. Based on that research, they have come up with a wonderful product called eMember, which is a digital career counseling platform. So with this, we come to the next part of the session, which is the opening remark part. So I would invite our key speakers. So first I would request Sanjay sir, Sanjay sir, if we can have your quick 1 minute opening remark. Sanjay sir, can we have your opening remark?
Good morning, Mr. Raju. And good morning, fellow panelists. It's a wonderful initiative and effort, which is an ongoing process. I was amazed to see the number of webinars which you have been conducting and bringing wonderful people to interact and build the thought process, because these are all thought leaders from across the country as well as from the globe, I must say. And the most important thing when we are talking about NEP, as you have also said it in your opening remark, that it is the implementation. As far as document is concerned, yes, it is definitely very ambitious project, and the implementation, the responsibility lies on each one of us. And that is where once the collaboration comes, once we share our thought process, I'm sure that we will be able to move forward. So, of course, we have the most encouraging remark, which I would begin with here, is that as a country together, in spite of all its, I should say, the mixed responses to everything which happens around the world, India has managed to prove its resilience, prove its existence in this COVID era, and not only taken care of its own citizens, but has reached out to the world. So this is the power of the nation. We should feel proud. At the same time, we should always do the reality check, because as educationists, if we have to talk about preparing our generation and children, we should be aware of reality that yes, still our country stands at rank 139 out of 149 countries in Global Happiness Index. We are still living in world's most populated capital, and we need to take care of living conditions, survival, happiness, human rights, and this will come by empowering our children, by bringing in quality education. And that has been the sole purpose of this policy. So as we move on, we will further discuss on it, and I'm very hopeful that there's going to be a lot of learning for each one of us.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, Sanjay sir. We all are very excited to hear your ideas on this. I'll be coming back to you. And before I invite the next speaker, I must recognize the presence of Dr. Shubhi Prasad ji. She is principal with the Sunflower Public School, Agra, Uttar Pradesh. We also have with us. Welcome, ma'am. We also have with us Sunita Rawat, ma'am. Sunita ji is principal with Anunath Public School, Dehradun. And we also have Dr. Meenakshi Narula ji. Meenakshi ma'am is principal with Shamford Futuristic K-12 School, Auraiya, Uttar Pradesh. Welcome, Meenakshi ma'am.
Hi, good morning.
Big thanks for joining. And now I would request Natesh sir. Natesh sir, if you can have your opening remark.
First of all, thank you for calling me as a key speaker. I thank India International Education Council, Schoolology, World Education Review, Career Pundit, and SRM University and eMango. First of all, Raju sir, what you said, it is very highly ambitious, right? India being the developing country, if we don't take this ambitious step, when we're going to take it then? You take an example of Singapore or some other Scandinavian country which they have grown. If you take an example of Singapore, right, they were raised, they became an independent country somewhere in 1965, where they have grown far ahead of especially India and other countries. I think we could be thankful to government to bring an NEP 2020, which is going to be ambitious, where different stakeholder has got a different responsibility to now to implement. I think as an educator, certain things, I think in the GDP, 6% has to be earmarked to ensure this NEP 2020 to get implemented by 2030 and 2040. But however, we will leave it to the government what action they are supposed to take. But I think as a stakeholder, as an educator, I think we got a large responsibility, right? Whatever policy has been done within the less of expenditure, how best we can implement, like pedagogy, assessment. So all these things can be done at our level, which we need not dependent on the departments or the government. So I feel, I think I am very happy to be born in in the era of 2020, where I can implement and see to that our country grows in next 10 years far ahead in education and other field, better than any other country. I think I'll speak on other issues at a later stage.
Thank you, Nitish sir, for your participation. I'll be coming back to you. And before I invite next speaker, I must recognize the presence of another very senior education leader among us, Surjit Khanna ma'am. Surjit ma'am is principal with Delhi Public School, Greater Faridabad. Welcome, Surjit ma'am, and thank you for joining.
Thank you so much, Raju.
Welcome, ma'am. And now I just would like to check if Nitin sir have you joined us because I don't see your name. Nitin sir, if we have your presence. I believe he's yet to join. I would request Sunil Dangeji, Sunil sir, if we can have your opening remark. Sir, you are on mute.
Yeah. Thanks, Rajul. And good morning, everyone. Thank you for inviting me here. I'll be discussing about the benefits of allowing the subjects instead of choosing the stream to the class 11th and 12th student, and how a technology can help them to choose the right career and the right path. I'll be talking about that. Thanks, Rajul.
Thank you, Sunilji, for that. That's a very important area. A lot of people have said this, which is like this proposed flexibility in terms of choosing subjects is going to create high impact. So big thanks for joining, Sunilji. So with this, we come to the next part of our session, which is the main talk session. I would be inviting all our key speakers once again for their detailed perspective, and all the speakers will get 8 to 10 minutes. And after that, we would be opening the house. So we would be presenting questions to our key speakers. So with this, I would invite our first speaker, Sanjay Yadav sir. Sanjay sir, if you can have your detailed perspective. But before, sir, I invite you, I must share the learnings which we have had during our last 145 sessions. During our last 145 sessions, almost every participant shared that this is a wonderful document. This document has potential to place India at that coveted position of Vishwa Gyan Guru. But at the same time, almost same number of participants shared this is going to be very, very challenging in terms of execution. A lot of educators share that teachers training is going to be a key concern area. Many believe, yes, teachers training is a key concern area, but the bigger concern area would be lack of intent among teachers to get trained. A lot of people said finance is going to be a key concern area in terms of execution of this national education policy. Many educators shared an assessment that this pandemic has exposed the poor digital infrastructure we have in our country. So that is going to be another challenge. A lot of people believe that good schools in urban areas already implementing these many of these ideas. So the biggest challenge would be for rural school, budget school, and government school. So I would request you all that while sharing your perspective, if you can also share some ideas, some best practice which you have been doing in your respective institution, so that would make this session more useful and engaging for all of us. So with this, I would invite our first speaker, Sanjay sir. Sanjay sir, over to you.
Thank you so much for giving a roadmap to keep the talk focused on certain things which we all feel that these are essential. And yes, of course, discussing about the document and the aspects of document is one part of it. Implemented strategies and thoughts can also be shared. But let's not forget the inspiration which it has derived from. The document has been derived from a simple source, which I would say is obviously improving the quality of education. As far as accessibility and equity was concerned, that was there in earlier policies as well. But NEP 2020 has driven the focus more towards the quality of education. Because when I was talking about initial remarks, I wanted to add one more thought here is why there is a question about the employability of our graduates. Why does industry not recognize the quality of education which has been imparted to them? So to bridge these gaps, obviously our actions are going to be very significant, and it does require a collaboration for all stakeholders. So be it the higher education segment and school education segment, and that too preschool education segment, because one of the most remarkable feature which has been brought into it is the regulation of preschool education, early childhood care, which is significant. So when we are talking about the shift, try and understand that today we are dealing with, if I start with the school children who are joining the school, if we look at 2030 or 2040, when we are going to look at their employability and the skills which are desired by them, what kind of shift can be noticed? We all understand that so far, if there was a dependence on cognitive skills, there's going to be more of a dependence on social and emotional skills of children. There's going to be more of a dependence on technology driven education, and a lot of learning, relearning, self-learning, entry, exit. These are certain points which we all can see in the document. They are the ambitions which have been expressed. And now the question comes that if we are looking at our academically focused, structured school education system, uh, for past few years, yes, schools have been talking about holistic development, but how well has it been perceived? How well has it been integrated in the system? Are we looking at still a system which is top down, or is it looking at bottom up and it is moving upward, looking from there? Are we looking at short term gains, or we are talking about retention, and we are talking about consistency in the system? So these are few thoughts which we need to deliberate, which we need to work. And of course, we have to keep in mind, because if I look at the urgency, the sense of urgency, as you talked about the best practices, what we inculcate and what we believe in, we look at our living conditions with the sense of urgency. The living conditions, as I talked about, living in world's most polluted capital. So are our children going to have the right? Imagine, forget about the pandemic, but even before pandemic, we have lived through a situation where schools were shut down on account of poor air quality. Is this the future we are creating for our generation? Is this what we call progression? So when we are talking about education, when we are talking about the development, don't we have to look at these basic necessities? Keeping those in mind, the moment our country adopted sustainable development goals by the United Nations, Alcon International School also adopted, and now every member of our community very proudly says that yes, so we do have SDGs integrated in our DNA. We do understand the significance of quality education, which is SDG 4, and that is what has been quoted in NEP. At the same time, the key factors which are essential, key factors in terms of climate action, which is going to impact everything in our day-to-day life. We talk about the water resources or their importance. How long are they going to last? Because if we are not able to get those basic necessities, are we going to improve the quality of education? Will the focus get affected? When I first heard about Greta getting so distressed and giving up on her school education to alert people, to bring that sense of emergency among everybody, it is high time that we need to take inspiration from that, and we need to work on that. And then coming to some more major reforms which have been proposed, of course, when we are talking about equity, a wonderful step which has come in NEP, when we are talking about teaching in mother tongue. Because if the child is coming to school and if the child is able to connect with what is being taught, what is being spoken, then only the interest will be there, then only the dropout rate will reduce, and then only progression will happen. But here comes the challenge in front of all the educationists. Do we have sufficient study material available in different mother tongue? Are we able to support that? So it becomes our responsibility. Let us try to look at the role which has been defined, so well defined for us, and let us try to integrate it, because policy document is there. So now we have to see what is our role and where can we pitch in and how can we pitch in. So let's work on that. Yes, if CPDs are part of culture, there are a large number of schools which have been adopting to it, and they were the ones who, with integration of technology and continuous professional development, were able to step into the shoes and take care of their children's education during the pandemic time. And the others, of course, showed their learning, which was so rapid, and everybody stepped into it and moved on. So this has given us a sense of confidence that if there is a will, if there is a situation, the country can rise up to the occasion, and we are all there, all the educationists, they are there to take care of it. So these are there when we look at rebooting our education system. So of course, for rebooting any education system, we have to be vision and possibility driven. So vision is there in front of us. The document is the vision. And then we have to look at different areas where we can create possibility and get driven by them and show them in our action. When we talk about embracing new technologies, it is not that a child has to study computer science or child has to take a specialized technical education, but every aspect of day-to-day life is going to be technologically integrated. So let us understand that just as the language skills are essential, other skills, technological skills are also essential. If we are talking about our assessment, as you mentioned it in one of your remarks, during this pandemic time, I do hear principals and educationists talking about that what is the reliability of, let's say, the moral component in terms of children taking the assessment. Why was there so much of discussion on offline and online assessment? And then why were not we relying on the online assessment part of it? So this is where the moral integration, moral education, and then the smartness of the person who is assessing the children. Why don't we create our assessment system on open book system in which even if the child is willing to use any resources, still we should be able to assess the child. Self and peer assessment, there are so many different techniques which need to be explored and which need to be integrated. And this is what is expected in terms of the holistic report card which has to be created. Above all, in this period, what I have seen is our children, our school children, we had so much of faith in them, we have fostered them with so much of confidence that they have been able to come up with solutions, they have been able to create, I would say, on social media platform or connect with the international community, and they have been able to work on the key focus areas. So why don't we involve them? As I said, that it's not top driven, but it's bottom up. So let our children be the driving force. Let's understand their requirement and we build on them. So these 21st century schools will come. Before that, we need to discuss and build the intrapersonal and interpersonal skills. We need to take care of their social and emotional uh, condition, and then only they'll be able to move forward. Today, if we are talking about our children who are in still in that midst of situation where they don't know whether the board examinations, how well will they be. Parents, schools have opened, they are conducting the practical examination, children are coming, they are doing, but the uncertainty is there. So the only thing which has come up in front of us is uncertainty is the only certainty. So let's try to create solutions where everybody is able to move, come what may. The situations will keep changing. We have to learn that adaptability and we have to be willing to reduce ourselves to zero. Everybody will say, yes, this we are doing, art integration, we are doing. We talk about interdisciplinary approach, we are doing. Let's forget about what we are doing. Because until and unless we recognize that, yes, we have to start from a scratch. We have to build on the experience of the child. Even if a 3-year-old child is walking into the school, he or she has some experience. Let us use that and build on that. And definitely we'll be able to create the future for the children. So these are some of my thoughts. I'm sure that as the discussion builds, we'll be able to take it forward and we'll be able to bring in more components on it. Thank you so much. Mr. Rajul, you could unmute yourself, please.
I'm sorry. Big thanks, Sanjay sir, for sharing these very useful thoughts. You began by highlighting the importance of the NEP's formal recognition of ACCE. In fact, a lot of educators have also shared their assessment that the one big achievement this NEP has already done, that it has created that mass awareness about the importance of those initial years in the life of a learner. You also said, share your assessment that this NEP has a potential to create right environment for the holistic development. And then you talked about the importance of those sustainable development goals and why we all need to adopt them, why we all need to give our, needed focus to those goals. And then you also talked about the importance of mother tongue. You also, shared the challenge that there are lack of books, lack of content. In fact, many other, educators have also shared similar concerns that we need to create books in the mother tongue as well. You also talked about and you called upon all the educators that, the vision has been laid down by the policymakers. And now it is the responsibility of all of us to put in our dedicated efforts to execute this policy. And then you talked about the assessment, the importance of self-assessment and peer assessment. You share your views on that. So big thanks, Sanjay sir, for highlighting these important points. I would be coming back to you with questions, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. And now I would invite KS Nadesh sir. Nadesh sir, if you can have your thoughts, your ideas in detail.
I'll start from Sanjay Yadav sir talked about happiness index, where India stands in entire world, right? Let's talk about in the context of our school per se, right? If we have to see to that, the ECC or enrollment ratio by 2030 or 2040, we have to have 100%. How exactly our school is looking towards that? Only when you make happy a child, these children will start coming to your school, right? They will ensure that they're plus 12 or up to degree they're going to do it. So the NEP has definitely taken care of that happiness index we are talking about, right? One is single stream. There is no single stream as of today. I mean, once the implementation of 2020 is done, especially up to secondary, it is not going to be there. It is only after 11, 12, the children who has got a choice of selecting whatever he wants to select. He can select economic streams, he can select humanities, he can select STEAM, this one. That is one of the best thing any child will like to continue his undergraduation or a post-graduation. One is that NEP has taken care of, care about to have a happiness index. Second is vocational training, which I think during my school time, we had a vocational training, especially they have talked about any type of like electrician or a plumber job. That too, you get certain as a teacher from the street vendor, right? A person who has got a specific expertise. He may not have studied diploma, ITI or engineering, but he knows on-the-job training. Get those guys to your school, ensure our children learn. This is the one thing which we have stopped, I think, last 15, 20 years back from that vocational training, which this NEP is talking about. I think this is the best part from 6th standard to 8th standard. Certain periods of vocational training can be talked about. Next is 10 days of without school bag. That is another thing which children will love to have, come to the school without school bags and having a vocational training on those a particular period of time, which it can be incorporated. That is being again taken care in this particular this one. Today is all children are digital savvy. So again, he talks about coding, which it is going to be starting from the 1st standard to 10th standard, or up. It is going to start from the smaller this one. That is also being catered for in this particular NEP. These are small things which is going to be there. It will ensure the enrollment of children coming starting from kindergarten up to undergraduation. These particular small changes can make a hell of a lot of a difference. Next is sharing of school infrastructure resources to the community. How you're going to do it? Especially you got an excellent library in your school, which you are talking about 10,000 of books, 6,000 of books, or computers, which has been there for your children. Why don't we allow? I think the NEP talks about not only the schooling, you're involving the community who are, especially who are old age people or who are people who are not technical savvy. We can bring them back to the school after the school hours, teach them something about the computers, make them to access for the library. These are the best things which after 9 to 5, the school will be closed. That can be allowed for the community to utilize those resources. So this is the one thing I think our school is also thinking about, especially after coronavirus goes out. We are also trying to implement those libraries to be utilized to the underprivileged children, or computer for the underprivileged children in and around your area, so that they can come and utilize, so that they become a best citizen in the for the society. Next, holistic development of the students. You take about CBSE. Our school is of a CBSE, right? He talks about only curriculum. One is co-curricular and curricular activity. You divide that. Here in NAP, he talks about 360 degree of assessment of a student. There is no separation, hard separation for curricular and extracurricular activity. If you really take Sanjay sir again in his remark, he's talking about once they come out of this society in education, they are not employable. Why they are not employable? Reason in extracurricular activity, they are not confident, right? Speaking to people, understanding the problem and giving a solution to that. Those things are not. It is all in a silos we are working. In a compartment wise we are working. Whereas in NEP, he talks about 360-degree of assessment. There is no hard separation of curricular, co-curricular, or some other sports or something like that. Everything is integrated. You're going to assess from the day one till the time the academic session is over. So that is the best part of holistic development to the students, which is incorporated in the NEP. Then the innovative pedagogies, right? Always we are talking about teacher-centric, now student-centric. You go to allow the children to experience what he has done, seen in different life. Everybody's experience is something different. Somebody would have come rural area, somebody would have come urban area. We got Sunil Dange, he was talking about eMango, that he's going to talk about career management. You can start off career management from class 1. You ask each children who are 30 students who are there, what is their parents are doing. One may be saying, I'm a carpenter, somebody may be, I'm an engineer, somebody may be a lawyer, somebody may be chartered accountant. That itself, you may not know the meaning of it. Definitely, you will be knowing these are the type of job which is available. So definitely, these part of things can be explained to them, right? This is also is there in innovative pedagogies. We can allow them to do group discussion. So many things are there, different way of doing it. Experiential learning, allow children to talk about, if he goes to village, what type of cultivation their grandparents have done or their parents have done, or if somebody is a chartered accountant, what exactly he does. I was talking to some students, right, during holidays, what you're going to do in your holidays, right? So somebody said, okay, my father is a medical rep. What I do is, on that particular month, wherever expiry dates of medicine is over, I make a list and hand over to my father. So that is one of the life experience of that child has got. So we got to motivate our children to do, especially in summer holidays, to work along with their father, whatever job they got, learn from them. So these are the things we got to, as an educator, we got to implement those things. I feel vocational education, why can't we ensure our 6 to 10 standard, if the tube light is not working, right, if the plumbing something goes off, right, why can't you train yourself, train one of the teacher or a PT teacher or somebody who is good in these type of thing, allow, rather than calling somebody from outside, allow your children own itself to repair. We do in our school, the child is so confident of handling those particular this one. So we are doing in a small bit, whereas in NEP, he comes out with a proper structured portion to us. I think we can implement in a better manner where children's self-confidence goes high, self-esteem goes high. Next is he's talking about inclusivity, right? In a class of 30, we forget about a gifted children, right? Gifted children have got a different way of behavioral pattern. The way he studies, way he has got an emotional angle with the other children is entirely different. So we go to, as a teacher or an educator, we go to identify who are the gifted children. There are difference between talent children and the gifted children. So that is the speciality which has been talked about in inclusivity in the NEP. Then mother tongue, what he talks about, especially from foundational up to 5th standard, bilingual. I think NCERT is also going to come up with a bilingual textbooks hereafter. So that is going to be a very useful, especially for the students, where once he is very strong in his mother language, mother tongue, where he can pick up English thereafter and achieve whatever he is supposed to achieve. Where we are lacking is assessment, right? Any teaching learning portion has to be there. Our people are good in teaching. That is, pedagogy pattern is extremely good. People are picking up in a better manner. But assessment portion is where, and the correction part, we are very lacking. I think NEP talks about that, and he's made a different statutory body called Parak, right, which he is going to do it. I'm sure that NCERT and the CBSE will join together and bring out a better assessment, which is acceptable to entire global this one. Again, examination for grade 3, 5, and 8, other than 10th and 12th, that is also coming up. I think a little bit of that exposing the children for a board type of exam in 3rd, 5th, and 8th, what NAP is talking about, I think that is also a good thing. I think we welcome that particular portion. Then coding. Then last thing, I want to highlight about the teacher recruitment / teacher education. Presently, what happens is any of the teacher, once she or he finishes, he does 2 years of BA, whereas he is talking about integrated 4 years course of, along with his subject, he is going to finish his B.Ed education. That is the one good thing what is going to happen, because as of today, you and me are all aware how the B.Ed education institutions are running. Half the time they may not have proper building or infrastructure, but just the recruit, take money and give the B.Ed certification to them, which I think NEP is aware about this particular problem. They're going to stop this by making that a 4-year integrated B.Ed degree by 2030. I think, Raju sir, I think you can, I have finished with this. Anything further we can talk about?
Absolutely. Thank you, Nitesh sir. You almost touched upon all the important part of this policy. You began by highlighting the importance of happiness index and how NEP is talking about it. You also talked about that proposed flexibility in terms of choosing subjects and how it is going to create the impact. You talked about the importance of vocational training, which NEP is talking about. You also talked about that sharing of school resources to community, though would be challenging, but would be useful. And you also shared your assessment is that with that 360-degree assessment proposal, NEP has a potential to create right environment for the holistic development. And absolutely, like we all agree with you. In fact, a lot of people have also said like this no hard separation between science and art and curriculum and co-curricular subjects. This NEP certainly talking about the holistic development of students. You also talked about the importance of internship. This NEP is also talking about the mandatory internship for students. And then you explained that inclusivity are part of NEP and how it is, it is going to create the right environment for all these students. And then you talked about the assessment area where in the current scenario where we are lacking, and how NEP with the introduction of Parak is going to address that. And then in the end, you talked about the reforms in the teaching recruitment, teacher training part, good empower teachers and good produce good teachers. So big thanks, Nitesh sir, for your points, your ideas. I would be coming back to you with questions. Thank you, sir. Thank you. And now with this, I would invite Sunil Dankiji. Sunilji, if we can have your ideas and thoughts in detail. Sunil Dankiji, do we have your presence? Sir, you are on mute. Sunilji, you are on mute, sir. Yeah. Sir, you are on mute.
Good morning again. I was listening Natesh sir. He was discussing about the how to choose the career, and every career has its own importance. And I am Sunil, and I am presenting an institute which is the eMango. That stands for Education Management on the Go. Actually, what we believe is there are two parts. One is the earning, the money we earn, and another is the managing that money. If we're not able to manage our earnings, then our earning itself are of no use. So similarly, one is part is the learning, and another part is the managing that learning. So we are here to we are here to help the people to manage whatever they have learned. So what I'll do is I'll just share my screen with you, and then while taking you through the portal, I'll keep on explaining the.
Yes, sir, your screen is visible.
Yeah, thanks, Rajul. This is the name of this is our eMango, which is basically education management on the go. So what I'll do is just I'll take you through the portal. So this is the student dashboard, where a student can explore about the careers. As one of the educationists was telling that how a student will come to know that what they'll be doing in that particular career. So this is our career exploration library, and the interesting part is this career exploration library is not just in the text based. It's every information is in the audio visual format, and it's a multilingual. So these are the cluster wise careers. For example, a student want to, and there are vocational courses also. There are a lot of vocational courses we have over here. So if say a student want to go for say journalism, then what type of journalisms are there? There are so many type of journalisms. If you go into the journalism thing, then he can see what are the future prospects of. He can see what are the skills required. He can also see the future prospect of that particular career, and they can also see the salaries in India and abroad. So this is the audio visual format where journalism has been explained as a career, and what are the paths to reach to become a journalist, and what are the top colleges, entrance exam. All this information is available. If a student wants to choose this career, they can simply click on the shortlist this career, and it will get saved in their own wish list. It has come. This is a journalism career. They are shortlisted, and after exploring the career, next biggest question is that how to come to know what is best.
Hi, I'm E-Man.
Yeah.
I'll help you. Let's play a game to find best fit career for you.
Yeah, and now the thing is, what is the most suitable for me? So for that, we have this psychometric assessment using which we can know the child's aptitude and interest. And we are using a John Holland model. And for that, we are working with IIT Delhi, and we have developed a test in the Indian context. So that's what we have done. So a student can take the test. If he want what stream they have to choose or which career they have to choose. On the basis of that, these are reports comes up. And our reports are also in an audio-visual format, in a multilingual. Currently, there are only two options, but very soon we are coming up with the Marathi, Gujarati, Tamil, and all. So these are the multiple languages. A student can see the report, and he can also listen. Even the parents can listen. It's a multilingual report. For example, if someone want to listen to Punjabi, तो आटा मुंडा extrovert है, extrovert मुंडे ये करते से. So all these things come up. So this is one is the exploration, then find the best fit. Another thing is what are the colleges available. how to pursue on that for that particular career. What are the these are the vocational courses are offered by these many colleges. Then for example, for the science, law, and how many colleges are there? For example, for law, these many colleges are there. A student can simply click on that and they can come to know every information about that particular college. That's what is the NRF ranking, what is the placement, what is the exam required to get into that college. And they can shortlist the college also. What are the college they want to go? For example, and let's try to do it. Say Deen Dayal Upadhyay College, New Delhi. Someone wants to go there. He can shortlist this college, and that will go into his cart. Is a Deen Dayal College. They have shortlisted. Similarly, the exams. There are so many exams cluster wise. For example, mass communication. For the mass communication, what are the exams? There are so many exams for the mass communication. If a student wants to appear for, say, this exam, they can shortlist it. And that will be again saved into their cart. And I'll let you, this UWW is the exam. That's Uttaranchal University entrance exam. And so career, find the best fit, colleges, exam. And in addition to that, there are various competitive events which keep on happening. So for the sports, there are so many events are there. And similarly for other, say NTSC, NSO, dance, drama, every information is there. Now, after exploring and shortlisting this is the child's own plan. Here, they have saved their wish list. The career which they have shortlisted will come here. We just selected the journalism. It is over here. Similarly, there are entrance exam list. What are the entrance exam they have shortlisted? This will come here. We selected this. This is again into the child's cart. Similarly, the college and internships. There are, in addition to that, there are so many scholarships which are being offered and people are not aware of it. These are the scholarships. And these are criteria there who are eligible and who are not. The whole information about those, the Modi Foundation, Shiksha Abhiyan, Meri Pehchan, Times and Trend, Swami Vivekanand Merit. There are so many scholarships a child can avail. And in addition to that, there are internships. Henceforth, these are again the internship for the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th students, UNESCO internship, Google, all the information. Apart from, that's what I'm saying, apart from the academy, what else they can do? And generally, success of a person does not just depends on how much marks they have got. It also depends on what information they had and how do they use that information. And in addition to that, a child can save digitally all the information about, a child can save is, all the marks they have got in the previous years in class 11, 10th, 9th, and 10th, etc. They can also save here the kind of any extra holistic performance of the student, like he participated in the sports, dance, what the rank was there, in which class he did, the internship, what internship they did, and all this information has been presented in a graphical format. For example, this particular student got say around 80% marks in class 11th. He got 84% in class 10th, and say he got 87% in class 9th. Similarly, what is the holistic profile? In how much extracurricular or events he participated in 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, etc. So this is the way we are. This is the way the education can be managed. And in addition to that, we have a very beautiful platform for the schools, where the schools themselves, can know that what the childs are doing, what their students are doing. This is a student this is a school dashboard. In the school dashboard, how many students are there? They can come to know 9, 10th, 11th, 12th. For example, currently this platform is for these 4 classes. So they can also manage their school champions. Because in sports, they have champion, academics, NTSC, NSO, they can easily manage their, the champions. And alumni section, where the student will, schools lose this information. For example, if a school wants to call some, some IS officer, then one of their school alumni or alumnus has been the IS officer. Say, Sandeep Singh was an IS officer, he's an IS officer, IS Punjab cadre, he's a doctor, MD radiologist, the psychology. So you can save the information of your alumni. And these are again the knowledge resources. Again, important notification which will keep on coming for the sports, dance, drama, so that in case your student or school want to participate, they can. And this is the the aptitude of the overall aptitude of your school. That aptitude, numerical aptitude, class wise. This will show the overall, and then you can bifurcate it the class wise and then again section wise. So you can come to know that which aptitude of your strong is the highest, and where the students are lacking, where you need to put the more emphasis. Similarly, the interest. There are 6 types of interest. There's John Holland model. You can come to know that using this, you can come to know that how many students should go for the non-medical, medical, and all. So that's what it is. And we have been doing this research for last 2.5 years. And fortunately, this new education policy came, and which also putting the lot of emphasis on this kind of things. And we have been, our research paper is going to published in International Congress of Psychology, and we are the almost among the first in the world, those who are doing the psychometric assessment only from the for the class 9, 10th, 11th, 12th kind of student. There have been a lot of players, but they no depth of research hasn't gone there. And we are working with IIT Delhi, and we'll be working with IIT Kanpur Cognitive and Computer Science Department for all this. So as I was saying that the new education policy has given extra wings to the child, that they can have the more career options now. And what happens is generally a child chooses the career under the influence of the parents. And because lack of awareness always generates the fear, and that's why the parents always try to force them into the traditional careers, because they are not aware of the new career option exists and what are the job prospects of those, what are the salaries they can earn. This platform, as it's a multilingual, it will be easier for the people to understand about all the careers in a very easy way. And there's a mobile app of this, and it's very engaging. And there are 2 characters, E-Man and Go. The E-Man and Go are the characters, those will keep on helping the child, to exploring the career, exams, and college and all. So that's all I wanted to, tell, that how technology can help the people to choose the right career. And it's a DIY kind of platform, and because of it's a DIY kind of platform, the costs are not which is a traditional career counseling cost, that 7,000, 8,000, nothing like that. We have reduced the cost to more than 200, 300%. So that's what it is. Thank you, Rajul. Thanks for allowing me to present our work which we have done. Thank you.
Thank you, Sunilji, for that input and sharing that development. Big thanks. And now with this, we come to the last part of the session, which is the question part. I would also request all our participants, if you have any question, you can write in the chat box. I would be presenting that question to our speakers as well. We have already received many questions. I'm going to present these questions to all our key speakers. But before I start presenting these questions, I'll just take a minute in explaining what exactly we have been doing at School Lalaji Solutions. I'll just take a minute and I'll share my screen for a minute. And after that, we'll go to the question part. So many of you are already aware with School Lalaji Solutions, we are India's largest one-stop solution platform for educational institutions. We are present in 42 cities, working with around 4,500 institutions. We help educational institutions in 3 ways. We help them in buying right thing from right people at right price. We also help them in selling their old stuff, like their old buses, generators, furnitures, to other institutions who may need that. We also help institutions in raising money, that may be in terms of loan or fee financing or some other ways. Why any educational institution would need a platform like School Lalaji? You already have your old suppliers, your team is expert, you believe you are getting good discount. So why you would need a platform like School Lalaji Solutions? There are 2 main reasons. In our country, in our current educational ecosystem, we have more than 10,000 educational suppliers. So it's practically impossible for all school leaders to interact with all those companies in particular category, to negotiate with them to get a best deal with wonderful product and services. It's very, very difficult. So here we come into picture, we understand your school, your taste, your actual requirement, your budgetary limitations. And then we have category experts who interact with different category-wise different companies on daily basis. We also talk to their previous clients to certify their credibility. So then after doing that filtration part, we also negotiate with them, because we give them bulk orders. We negotiate with them. And after negotiating with them, we recommend right set of companies to you. These are different areas where we are helping educational institutions: smart classroom procurement, uniform, insurance, diesel. solar plant installation, language lab, security solutions, furniture, recruitment, music classrooms, healthcare, robotics, STEM, STEAM labs, career counseling, stationery, digital marketing, IT solutions, educational door, generators, learning tools, and finance. And we take the guarantee that will save you at least 5 to 7% of your annual expenditure. So that's a guaranteed saving that we can do for you. So it's kind of a 5% additional revenue generation for your institution. Just one example, we saved 2 crore 40 lakh rupees, for different institutions in one category only, that is bus insurance in 2019. Some major highlights: we did 8 megawatt plus solar installation, 3,000 plus bus insurance, 400 plus smart classroom, 2,000 plus cameras, 350 plus training programs, 56 old buses, uniform in 42 schools. And by the end of 2021, we aim to reach out to 10,000 institutions. We need your support, your guidance, your blessings. So with this, I'll end my talk here. So big thanks once again for your patient hearing. So I would now request Sanjay Yadav sir, Sanjay sir, if I may present the first question to you.
Yeah, please.
So this is actually a very, very regular question. So this time this has been asked by Ms. Avinash Paul. Avinash is a teacher with Sudeepi, a Global Academy, Manpuri. The question says, what key changes this national education policy would bring? So sir, if you can highlight 2 or 3 key changes, let's say 10 years from now or 15 years from now, after this NEP implementation.
See, to put it in a nutshell, if I look at 2-3 key aspects where we can expect a major shift, as I had mentioned it, that early education, that is early child education and care, that is where we will be able to see a key shift which will happen. In addition to that, when we have talked about focus on quality, not just accessibility, but what does it mean by focus on quality, and how do we talk about the holistic sense of education which we have been discussing and deliberating all around. So there it is, as I said, that we build on the experience of the child. Whatever children come to us with, we need to listen to them, we need to understand them, and we don't have to go in terms of our own structured cognitive domain or academic. Rather, create a joyful learning, because the first thing when I said was the happiness index. Why does NEP focus so much on art integration? What is the significance of art in life? Is basically to bring in that happiness quotient, because the child will be happy the moment there is an integration of music or there is an integration of performing art, any form of performing art, and that learning of the subject will be retained by the child, and child will be able to correlate. The other thing which has been talked about Indian education system, especially when we move on to the higher segment, is that it's not so flexible as far as the child is concerned. Be it when we are looking at interdisciplinary approach. So we are very enthusiastic, and of course the schools have already started practicing this, with CBSE opening a lot of avenues in terms of optional subjects which are available. So it's no more going to be a structured science or commerce or humanities curriculum, but it is going to be career driven, based on the need of the children. So for this, it's not only the mindset which is to be readied. A lot of schools, they come up with simple example. They say that it's difficult for us to employ so many teachers and offer so many options. So when it is a technological integration, when we have seen learning from open sources, I'm sure that it is going to be possible. When we are talking about CPD, when we are talking about collaboration, so definitely it is going to be possible for each school to reach out, not only in terms of physical infrastructure, but also in terms of intellectual infrastructure. And then we are able to take care of it. So this is the kind of collaboration which we are looking forward to. And that is what will make everything possible for the schools and for children. Ultimately, it is the child which is at the center, and child should be able to carry forward what he or she wants to learn. So these are a few changes which are going to happen. Yes, we have to move forward. We have to move forward together, because the power is in togetherness.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. I'll come back to you. Now, I would request Nitesh sir. Sir, I have already posted a question in the chat box that has come from Ms. Sangeeta Sahani. Sangeeta ji is the HOD of Physical Education, Alcon International School, Delhi. The question is about the assessment in physical education. So, the evaluation assessment in physical education. So, I believe she wants to know what changes this NEP is bringing. So, Ritesh sir, if you can take on this question.
Since we are talking about 360-degree assessment, the sports is going to be important. I think as it is, CBSE has incorporated a lot of good things in that, right? I'll give you an example: integration of sports along with the science oblique mathematics, right? You got to bring them the child to the particular volleyball court or basketball court, tell them to how to do the area, this one perimeter. So these are all like how Sanjay sir is talking about art integration. Even the sports can be integrated along with the all the streams what we have got. So we can talk about Hindi in the Hindi subject. If there is a great sportsman is there, right? The sports teacher talks about that. So interdisciplinary is what we are talking about. We are talking about in Hindi. We are talking about Dhyan Chand, right? Major Dhyan Chand is one of the fantastic hockey player we have ever seen. So the sports teacher talks about that, and he incorporates that. That's how the understanding of this particular subject and integration becomes much better.
Absolutely. Thank you, Nitesh sir. I'll come back to you. Now I would request Sunil Langiji. Sunil sir, a lot of people have, in fact, during our past session, have also asked this question. This is about the flexibility of subjects. So a lot of people believe that this would certainly help students in choosing their, favorite subjects or passionate subjects, but it would also create confusion among them about the career selection choices they can make. So what is your assessment on that part?
Rajul, if more the option, more the confusion. If we'll visit a clothes shop and there is only one type of t-shirts are hanging around, there will be no confusion, right? Either we'll take it or we'll leave it. But once there is a shop where are multiple colors and all those things, confusion is definitely going to increase. But now, how do we help our child to choose a t-shirt? Right. First, we find out like all t-shirt doesn't fit to everybody, right? All colors doesn't suit to everyone, right? Even there is a dummy which was in who is a very good bodybuilder in a shop and he will be wearing a t-shirt, but it doesn't mean that will fit to me, right? I'm different from them. So similarly, like the career, ultimately the aim of the education is to remain happy throughout the life, and to remain happy throughout the life, you need the earnings as well as you should enjoy whatever you're doing. So for that, the more the choice, more the confusion, but there are scientific ways like psychometric assessments are very important. And it is not just there's 100 years of research. Companies like McKinsey, EY, Deloitte, these people are using all this while choosing their leaders. Then why can't it be done at the right time, at the right age? So such kind of one is to find out what is best fit for me, and accordingly we should go ahead. So that's and for example, if you are not aware of that what career will exist corresponding to a particular subject. For example, if a student has chosen music, physics and accounts, it's such a drastic combination he has. What the parents will get scared. क्या बनेगा भाई? Choose तो कर लिया तूने, ठीक है ना? Physics, accounts and music. But yes, a child can become a good, manufacturer of the musical instruments. He is interested in the music, he knows accounts, and he knows physics as well, the subject of sound. So there should be a scientific way should be used, and there should be a platforms where the child can explore, even the parents can explore. So that's the only solution for this problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Sunilji. And now again, I would request Sanjay sir. Sanjay sir, I have already posted the question in the chat box. This has come from Mr. Karamveer Singh, teacher, Sudeepi Global Academy, Manpuri. Sir, is this policy talking about some changes in distance learning program?
Basically, the assessment and certification. When we are talking about distance learning, of course, open sources and learning, their potential has already been proven in these current times. So there is so much of knowledge which is available. Children are already using it. Some of them were exposed to it earlier, but now almost everybody is exposed to it. So they will learn from open sources. It's only a certification which has been there as a policy. In fact, open schooling has been there, but the adaptation of that certification was not so much prevalent in the society. With this policy coming in, and of course, when it is talking about the exit and entry, It is talking about going into vocational, promoting vocational skill. So this is where the assessment portal of these open sources will become significant. Even higher education, if we look at it today, the child learns a lot from open sources, keeping the need of the industry in mind. And that's where they are improving on their employability. So these things will definitely become a part of our learning and assessment pattern. It's not just that a board certification is important. In addition to that, child will be able to learn things and they will be able to earn certificate, which will have due recognition in their industry and employability. So this is how it is going to progress.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sanjay sir. And now I would request Nitesh sir, this would be the last question for the day. Meanwhile, we have been joined by Amita Mittal ma'am. Amita ma'am from Wisdom Valley International School, Ludhiana. Welcome, Amita ji. And Nitesh sir, I would request if you can take on this one. Shikha Sharma ji from Elkan International School, Delhi has asked this question. How we can make our classrooms more innovative? Sir, this is in fact the question for everyone. Like Shikha ji is representing the entire teaching community. So if you can suggest some ideas, some methods, how we can make our classrooms more innovative with NEP 2020. Nitesh sir.
Okay, how to make innovative, right? I think children are more innovative than us. What is important is a teacher is a facilitator. You got to give a one point and allow them to talk to themselves or have a group discussion or a play role or something. They will come out with the new ideas, right? Only things, once you go as a teacher, you got to keep quiet, talk about anything new thing which is coming up. We'll talk about social studies, right? There is a parliament which is going on and the farm laws, which farmers are doing a strike and the government is saying they're sticking to their laws, what they have made. Bring those points, right, and raise that issue in the class, and you keep quiet, you will see how many new innovative ideas are going to come up. So a lot of things are there which you have to allow. Each children has got a different experience. So allow them to bring that experience back to the class. And as a learner, as a teacher, we should also start learning from them. It is not that you are good at it. Like you all, Rajul sir, you talked about open resources which is available. Today, knowledge is, the children are far better than us. It is only allowing them to a forum for them to interact with themselves and come into a conclusion and bring the right point. There is no right and no wrong, right? Situation will keep changing. So allow them to think in a big way, right? So that is the best way to do it in the class, right? As a teacher, talk less, right? Allow the students to talk more. Sir, I'll take a liberty, Rajul sir. I want to ask a question to Sunil sir.
Yes, sir.
Please go ahead, sir.
Yes, sir.
One thing, sir, in the career guidance, what happens, the children, when they are there in 9th and 10th, the way they think is different. Once they are there in 11th and 12th, they think their option of career is different. And then once they reach the undergraduation, the career planning itself is entirely different. So, which is the right time for them, right? Certain people are slow learner. They pick up their life far better once they finish the graduation. Certain people are early they're take a decision where they want to go. What is the right time for them, whether it is 9th and 10th or 11th and 12th or after undergraduation? Because after undergraduation, already your streams you have selected and you would have gone in the wrong direction.
You're absolutely right, sir. So what happens if a flight is 1 degree away? If a flight is taking off from Delhi for the New York, and at the time of start, it is just 1 degree away, it will land up in somewhere in South America instead of US. So it is if the appropriate correction would not have been done at the right time. So as in Singapore, the people choose the career at a class of 6th. In India, at least we should start from the 9th onwards, because that is the right time when a child is in the age of around the age of 14, and then the mind and everything would have been developed a little earlier also. But the thing is to knowing about there are few things which does not change over the period. You may get influence because the salary or because you have watched some movie, some hero has come, now you want to become an inspector, earlier you want to become a doctor. So, but it's very important to know about yourself, and that is your aptitude generally doesn't change. Your interest doesn't change, or there is a no large variation comes up. So that's why I think the right age to choose such thing is the class of 9th actually, not beyond that, because it become very difficult. It becomes so cumbersome once you have graduated and you come to know that you are a good marketing guy. You've done your engineering and you are a marketing person. So it will neither you will get the job because people will not accept you. You are not an MBA marketing. So that's why it is very, very important to choose at the right time. So, and according to it's not me. Just we have the research team, which they think that in class 9th it is very important to start. In fact, we should start talking about all this in class 7th, and by they will come to class 9, that should have been shortlisted. कि ये ही बनना है, ठीक है ना? So that's what my take is, sir. I hope I would have answered your query.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Sunilji. Nitesh sir, I have my personal opinion here. We also organize a lot of career workshops with students. This year we organized 650 plus workshops in different schools virtually. I strongly believe that career is an overrated word. There is no word we should talk about career. It's all about life. We never choose the career. There is nothing like career. Like if we become a doctor, we are going to spend our life as a doctor. So I believe this is my personal opinion, and I would request if you can share your comments on this. I strongly believe that career is an overrated word. We should talk to our children, and we must explain them that you are not going to choose a particular career. You are actually going to choose your life. So please understand and invest your time in exploring which life you want to have. A lot of people, like this year, we interacted with more than 50,000 students directly, and we realized across country we interacted students with, and we realized that we see these two things differently, life and career. We believe choose a good career, you'll have a good life. Become this and you'll have a good life later. So life it's a very subjective thing, but I believe we must see this from that perspective, that we all are going to choose our life. So we must choose the life which we want to have. So we have received 2 more questions. Sanjay sir and Nitesh sir, if you please allow me to, I would like to present these questions in the chat box. Dr. Shubhi Prasad, Principal Ma'am, Sunflower School, Agra. Sanjay sir, I would request if you can take on this. What would be the prospects of NOS in NEP? I have posted the question in the chat box.
Yeah. NOS is something which is already existing if we look at it. The only problem which was there, as I mentioned it in my previous question, response to the previous question, was the acceptance. It is the overall acceptance of the people. As far as the higher education segment accepting it, they are ready to accept NOS. It's only the parent and the child's mindset which needs to accept the power that yes, there is a certification which is equally valid. There is nothing wrong. If we as a principal or as a teacher, we start talking to parents and we suggest the alternative, that is where the mindset needs to be changed. So with its acceptance and with the success stories being discussed and talked about, I'm sure that it will be able to develop. NEP only talks about the progression of the child. It is child-centric, so whichever way child can progress. There is no structure. Ultimately, it is only an examining body. It is only giving you a certification. So that is what we have to look at it. We have to build the acceptance. And I may take a minute, Mr. Rajul. I was very excited when I was listening to your response when we were discussing about the children, and we were discussing about the child-centric approach. We were talking about the experiences which children have and the rigid structure. So we do have to create that experience. We do have to create that integration, and I'm sure that first of all, the person who is executing this has to have faith. You have to be absolutely convinced, you have to be passion driven, and you have to say it is achievable. If we are talking about integration of technology which has empowered us immensely, and that is where we are ready to share the resources with each other. We are able to use best of available resources. There is so much of innovation which has happened. There's so much of research which has happened. No teacher might have thought of it that we will be able to transform to this extent. 2 years back, I remember when I used to talk to the teachers, I used to ask them, God forbid, tomorrow comes a day. Honestly, I'm sharing it with you. God forbid if there comes a day when you are given a choice that whatever you have been doing till date is not going to be valid and you will not be able to carry it forward. What is your plan B? Have you ever thought about it? How are you going to go forward? And I didn't know that we may have to see it in our lifetime only. But with this now, every mind is prepared and they know that this is something which had taken us off guard. Tomorrow, we will be better prepared. That's how the world has to progress.
Absolutely, absolutely. Big thanks, Sanjay sir. There is another question from Miss Priya Kapoor of Elcon International School. Sunil ji, you saying like you want to take this question or like the last question?
Yeah, I would like to take this question. 360-degree one.
Please, Sunil ji. So
Yeah.
question is there in the chat box. Will the 360-degree report card give us a clear picture for us and parents?
Yeah, it is like I hope if there's a blockchain. Blockchain is that I'm putting in a really simple words that if 100 people are saying that Sanjay sir is a good human being, right? If 100 people are saying, then the credibility increases, and the 1,000 say credibility will increase further, right? Or so what happens is similarly the 360-degree that it's a kind of blockchain. So if multiple people are giving the feedback about me, then it is really going to help and it is going to tell the truth about the person to a large extent. So 360-degree definitely going to help. In addition to 360-degree, that is because I may think everybody is obsessed with themselves, their ideas. There is no doubt. As a human, we are like that only, right? But if someone else is giving the feedback and all, it's really going to help us. It is help the teacher and the parents to understand really about the child. Because a behavior of a child in presence of the teacher in the class is very different from her or his absence. So that's why the feedback from the fellow student needs to be taken. So that's why it is. And 360-degree, the concept which is coming now, when I was in the corporate world, I was working with EY and all companies. हमारा खुद का 360-degree होता था. मतलब HR करवाता था उसे. Then how on the basis of that, they used to set up the KRAs and मेरी salary उसके basis पे बढ़ती थी. Not just what I perform. So 360 is a very, very important thing. So that's why
But Sunil, I have a question here. I would ask Sanjay sir and Natish sir if you can, join in. The 360-degree report card, is it more about that, like taking inputs from all the people around or giving assessment about all the aspects of students? Like, is it what like?
Can I take this?
Please, sir.
Yeah. See, when I was discussing about it with my team members, I was talking about let's derive simple inspiration from a higher education institute which believes in investing a lot in the child, in child's education. They do look into the components. They do come up with questions like it says, what is going to be the reaction of a child to the setback? How is the child going to react to setback? Now, that is not going to be based on any cognitive domain, that is not written in any textbook, but that is an observation which is very important, be it for the employer or for the child who is going to contribute in any education segment. So this is what is meant by 360-degree. If I am talking about self-assessment, that is all, start looking at it. Either a person will underestimate himself or herself, or sometimes person will overestimate himself or herself. And as it was very rightly said that everybody will say that my ideas, I'm very firm on it and I'm very clear about it, but there is a different perspective of it. How will that different perspective develop? That is, you have done on certain parameters, you did your self-assessment, and then the peers also assess you on certain parameters, and it gives you a reflection that whatever I was thinking, how valid is that idea? So it's not only for an outsider to view, but it is giving you an introspection and it is changing your inner personality. So it is a very essential, as Sunil is telling, that it is important. The workplace when you are working, why do we value a particular workplace is because this generation, which is going to be the workforce in times to come, they are not going to look for the basic necessities like roti, kapda or makan. They are not going to look for the salary which is there, but apart from that, so many cases we have heard the person was so highly paid and he was doing so well, and all of a sudden he is quit. And where has he gone or what is he doing? Is something he or she has gone to his own calling. So this going to his or her own calling is going to be the norm in times to come. People will go for the quality of their own life. And in that quality of their own life, they need to understand. So why not to help them understand themselves? And this will be possible with this holistic or 360-degree evaluation. Once you get into that process, you will start doing it. We ask basic principles. At the end of the day, you introspect. How was your day? What have you done? Are there some things which you need to carry forward, which have been valued by others, or you need to look at certain areas? So these will become the process, and these will change the lifestyle.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sanjay sir, for your inputs. Thank you, Sunilji. I would also request Nitesh sir, sir, if you can share your comments on this, on the same question.
Yeah, Raju sir, as you said, it is other than the peers, even the subject in complete stakeholder has to be taken into account when you are making a 360-degree assessment. Taking only the subject wise and not taking the peer input or the teacher's input or even the parents input. Like Sanjay sir said, how he is going to take back the setback. That is very important. He may be academically extremely brilliant. However, there is a setback in his life. He is not able to come back in his life. Then it is of no use to any organization or per se his life. So that is very important to have 360-degree with the entire stakeholders and with the subject what we have got. So I feel it is a question of NCERT coming out with how exactly assessment has to be, because it has to be a structured assessment, right? It cannot be left, because we are not talking about only the urban school. We are talking about rural school and other schools. How exactly, it is a very difficult, it is very easy to talk about 360. Even a big organization making a 360-degree assessment itself is got a question mark, right? On the promotion, on other issues. So we have to really evolve ourselves in over a period of time, how exactly 360-degree assessment is going to come up.
Rajul, I would like to add here. See, there is a lack of continuum between what we are studying in school and then moving to the higher education, and then the job we'll be doing. The continuum is very, very important, because the thing is that once you will be in a job, 360-degree will start happening over there. And 360-degree also makes the child understand that it is just not you which is important. It is also important. Your perception is also important. What other thinks about you, and that's how the society, in a society we should live, right? So it will inculcate the habit of behaving in a proper way to all the people. One should not, behave on their own, and so it is from that angle, and it will also not be going to give the setback to the child when they will be moving to the jobs. अरे ये क्या होने लग गया यार, ये सब लोग मेरे को जज कर रहे हैं इधर, ठीक है ना? It will start happening from the early one, and that's what I think we are from this NEP is more of about the student. Earlier it was about the teacher and the parents. They will decide that what you have to learn. They will decide what you have to become. Now they have made it opposite, because it's your life and you have to decide what I want to do. So that's why they are going to more rights to the student. And but इसके साथ साथ उनको बताया भी जाना चाहिए, because ऐसा नहीं कि बच्चे को rights तो हैं, but if we are not able to let him know, but DIY kind of learn, do it yourself kind of things should be there. So that's what my take.
Right. Thank you, Sunilji, for that. And once again, big thanks to all of you, Sanjay sir, Nitesh sir, Sunil sir, for participating. So with this, we come to the end of this very special session. But before we end the session, I would request if we can have your concluding remark. And we have also established one very interesting practice that while sharing your concluding remark, if you can also suggest one idea that you would like to execute or implement if you get a chance to become Union Minister of Education. So what would be your priority? If let's say you become a minister for one day. So I would request Sunil Dangi sir, if you can have your concluding remark, and what would be your idea?
As far as the concluding remark is concerned, so that NEP after 34 years, such a drastic change, there have been changes in between, but such a drastic change has come after around 34 years, and that is to bring our education system of India at par with the various developed countries' education system. That's the intention behind it. That's what I feel. And as far as becoming the education